All right, welcome back to the channel, folks. Today we're going to review the thoughts that's after the 10 hours of gameplay on IGN, Dragon's Dogma 2. The game is coming up very soon, and I am excited for that. And any news, previews on the game, you know, how it looks, how it's playing, you know, I like to keep up with it because I'm looking to bring it to you on this channel. So without further ado, let's take a look. Dude, just beating him like a.
Thought it would be a simple side quest.
I don't know, like what is like a rug? Hey, ogres doing that to you now? Wait, look, hold on, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Do you see what that ogre is doing? Do you see it? He just picks you up by your ankles and just beats you like a bag of ice.
A simple side quest. The owner of an apothecary enlisted my help to find his lost grandson who had been taken by wolves. As I followed the trail, I heard a screeching noise from up above.
I'm curious if he grabs you like that, if it's just going to be like this game over right there.
Battle for my life against a griffin. It's a monster that's far too strong for my party to handle, but we fight and claw and hold our ground until finally we get it.
That's a new move. That up charge. That is brand new.
That sleep is then interrupted by the same griffin back for revenge. That fight somehow boils over into another battle with a white, who proceeds to beat me within an inch of my life before I finally take him out, just as the sun rises.
Dang.
After an epic 20-minute battle.
Dang, everything has new moves apparently, it looks like. Okay, the music for, you know, defeating monsters is tough.
One of the most unforgettable encounters I've ever had in an open world action RPG. And it was just one of the incredible encounters I experienced during the 10 hours I spent adventuring through Dragon's Dogma 2's fantastic open world.
Yeah, I think Sorcerer is going to be like pretty overpowered in this game. I believe it's going to be pretty overpowered.
While I didn't get to start from the very beginning, I did get to begin with the creation of my own pawn. Pawns, for those unfamiliar with the first Dragon's Dogma, are AI-controlled companions that gain gear, skills, and experience from your game, and then take all that with them online where they can be hired by other players to be companions in their own games. I'm not going to spend too much time on either pawns or...
Yeah, that's a very good feature, because you're going to need rift crystals, you know, later in the game.
Which is that
so you build a good pawn, you get good rift crystals.
Much more natural than ever before. First and foremost, there are no more quest boards. There are no markers that appear above people's heads letting you know who's got a quest, and any sort of symbols placed on your map to let you know points of interest are kept to a minimum. As such, you'll really...
That is a huge map.
To guide. Foremost, there are no more quest boards. There are no markers that appear above people's heads letting you know who's got a quest, and any sort of symbols placed on your map to let you know of points of interest are kept to a minimum. As such, you'll really rely on your pawns and NPCs to guide you through Dragon's Dogma 2's world.
Oh.
NPCs will, more often than not, be the ones to approach you with opportunities for side quests, as opposed to it being the other way around.
You wouldn't happen to have seen a
okay, that's pretty good.
Did you see an urchin in a cap?
Pawns will also point out objects of interest.
Just yonder looks to be a good spot for harvesting ingredients.
Boulders that can be destroyed to find a path that leads to treasure.
If you need that destroyed, I'm your pawn. Shall I assist?
Or, if they already have knowledge of a quest from their owner's game, they will straight up lead you to those quests if you give them the go-ahead. All of this leads to a style of exploration.
Those are pretty familiar
and appropriately rewarding, very much in the same way that Elden Ring and the two most recent Zelda games do.
Other than, wow, it's got destroyed. Other than the not having quest markers, which I kind of like.
Predictable, dangerous, and enticing, which is why it's so exciting.
I kind of like that it doesn't have the quest markers. That way you have to explore the
Over
world,
10 hours, I got to play with a total of 5
and
locations.
there
5
won't be just people
sorcerer,
kind of speed running it because,
which
you know,
can
looking
walk
up
you through
everything
other
online.
unlike the first game, which had
Well,
you unlocking advanced locations simply by
I
leveling
mean, they'll
up
probably
base
watch
ones,
playthroughs of other
two
people, but it's gonna take a
locations
while
were actually
for you to
unlocked
get
via
through the
a quest.
game.
After visiting the Vocation Guild, I was given a quest to retrieve a great sword and an archstaff, and after doing so, I unlocked both the warrior and sorcerer vocations. I don't know if all of them will be unlocked this way, and I didn't get a chance to unlock any of the hybrid ones, like Mystic Spearhand or Magic Archer, but I definitely like the idea of not having to grind vocations in order to unlock others. My personal
Okay.
favorite of the vocations I got to
I guess
try
that's
was
be
by
pretty
far
good.
the warrior, who maintains the fantasy of being the great sword
Damn,
wielding
that the
badass
dungeon
who
effects look
fights giant
great.
beasts
That
not
looks
only using just
great,
one
man.
charge strike, but also adds a few more tricks to their repertoire. Director Hideaki Itsuno heard feedback that the warrior didn't feel like a super viable vocation in the first game, and thus worked hard to give them some new elements to bring out their strengths. For starters, we've jacked up the warrior's offense and destructive power.
Oh,
To a point
boy.
where it's unfair. In exchange, its abilities take a little longer to execute. This makes the vocation somewhat difficult to use, but that's where the tackle comes into play. If you're attacking,
Really?
you can use the tackle to cause an enemy to be stunned instead of being stunned yourself, making it easier to get into the vocation. The
So it's
tackle is
basically
referred to as a
Great
big
Sword from
big
Monster
barge
Hunter.
that allows the warrior to execute a quick shoulder bash, even while they're charging an attack, to interrupt and potentially stun any enemy that's trying
Okay,
to
that used to be a
The
skill.
vocation, after all, is built around being able to charge up massively powerful
That used to be a
attacks,
skill,
deal humongous
but now
damage.
it's in its
This
kit.
small change goes a long way in making it a little easier to get those big shots off. My favorite new addition for the warrior, though, is a passive skill that allows you to swing regular attacks much more quickly if you're able to precisely time your next button press with when the attack actually lands. This gives a nice rhythm to the warrior's combat and allows a skilled player to compensate for the typical weakness of having a very slow attack, while still making those very slow and powerful attacks still feel like they have their own place in the warrior's skill set.
Okay,
Also,
yes.
if you're like me and enjoy the feeling of leaping off cliffs and slamming your weapon down on a monster's head, this is the vocation for you.
Yeah, that's pretty
I
good.
unfortunately didn't get
And pretty
deep enough
cheap.
into
That's gonna be very cheap.
any of the really big, crazy spells that they're so beloved for, but what I really enjoyed about the sorcerer was the addition of a unique skill called Galvanize. This allows you to go into a stance that recovers your stamina extremely quickly, which is especially useful for the sorcerer due to the fact
Oh
that
my
your
god, I
spells
said the sorcerer was gonna be broken
to show
too.
those spells, you need to use a skill called Quick Spell, which allows you to spend stamina to reduce the spell's cast time. All of this leads to a careful balance of preparing to cast a powerful spell, using Quick Spell to shorten its cast time, and then making note of whether you have enough stamina to cast another spell, or whether you have to break away and use Galvanize to get your stamina back up. It's a fun dance that made Sorcerer feel
That's
a
good
lot
though,
more active than
because
past.
one problem in Dragon's Dogma was stamina recovery. Stamina recovery
Dragon's Dogma
sucked
2's
ass.
open world is a
I mean,
mess,
all
with
the
a map to be
ass.
roughly 4 times the
Just
size
nothing
of
but
the
ass.
already huge map in the first
Like
game.
having a
I
bunch of
spent
stamina
most
and
of
just
my
having to
experience of checking out the map
just
and
do
wandering
basic
through just
attacks
small
and wait
portions.
for it to
Big,
return
there's also
or
dense with exciting
eat
encounters both on and off
certain
the beaten
foods
path,
to get
or
stamina
these races
recovery.
where we
It was
constantly slowed
annoying. It
down
was
by back-to-back
so
battles,
annoying.
but
It would
I
just
also
slow
never
up.
went too long
It would just
without
slow up all
encountering
your
one.
gameplay.
One
It was just
thing that
slow.
was
It would slow up the
important to me and
gameplay
team at
pretty much.
Capcom was making sure that the players really felt the distance that they were traveling as they explored. To that end, fast travel is very limited, like in the first game. You can only travel
makes
between
sense.
discovered port crystals, and every time you do, you must expend a fairy stone, which are highly valuable items that don't come cheap and aren't easily found.
Okay, I can respect that.
Another option you have for getting around is using an ox cart, which is relatively cheap, but they are limited in the fact that you can't choose where you travel. The main one that I found only went from the capital city of Vernworth to the checkpoint town, which was far to the west. You also have to consider that ox carts are not a completely safe way to travel, as they often will be ambushed by all manners of beasts. Of course, you can just hoof it on foot, which is where you'll truly feel the weight of that distance, especially due to the new health restoration mechanic known as the Loss Gauge. In the first game, you'd be able to heal your entire life bar by using health restorative items, and recoverable gray health with spells. In Dragon's Dogma 2, however, every hit diminishes a portion of your max health, and the only ways to restore it are either by finding a campfire to rest at, or returning to an inn and resting for the night. Fortunately, if you
Oh,
rest at a
good
campfire,
God.
you can also cook some meat and get some much needed buffs, in addition to restoring all of your life. but there's a risk involved with resting at a campfire as well. The flames may attract monsters to your campsite, and as I mentioned at the beginning of this preview, you could actually wake up to an angry griffin coming back to finish what it started. What it all comes down to is this. Virtually every action in Dragon's Dogma 2 has some combination of a cost and a risk tied to it. Fairy stones are risk-free travel, but they come at a very steep price. Ox carts are a low cost but moderately risky method of travel.
That'll be minimized once you get the end game, I'm sure. He was gonna put up his. He was gonna put up the crack.
With low max health, or backtrack to a town to resupply. Whether you should avoid fighting the giant tanky ogre, or risk it all on trying to bring it down for both the experience and rare material reward. Whether you should keep on the less dangerous beaten path, or take a detour into the unknown. In the 10 hours that I played, these were very compelling decisions to have to make. But the real test will be whether those decisions remain compelling or turn exhausting in hour 20 or 30 when the map has expanded dramatically and you still have quests remaining to complete in a town that you're super far away from. Hypotheticals aside though, I loved just about every moment that I spent playing Dragon's Dogma 2 during this preview window. It doubles down on everything that I loved from the first game, makes some smart improvements to the way quests are handled and how you explore its giant world, and the little taste that I got of the vocations is a tantalizing reminder of why Dragon's Dogma is one of the best in the genre when it comes to delivering on the various power fantasies tied to the classic RPG archetypes. Even after all I played, I still feel like I just scratched the surface on what Capcom has in store for players when Dragon's Dogma 2 releases on March 22nd.
March 22nd. That's it. That's the deadline. So we're not too far from February. So we don't need to watch that. Not too far from February. So March will be right around the corner. But I guess it's, late March. So it's still going to be a while. But we'll find things to keep ourselves busy. But this is a great insight to Dragon's Dogma, how the game is going to be played and how things are going to be expected in the new world that they're presenting to us. Basically, we're going to be taking risks with everything we do, even resting at campfires, and your health diminishing even what was it? Your health, if you take a hit, your max health diminishes. So that's an interesting new mechanic there. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a skill that helps with health decreasing per hit. I'm pretty sure it'll be a skill that'll mitigate that. I see the warrior class got a nice bit of changes, mainly the tackle from Monster Hunter. When did it get introduced? Yeah, I guess you could say it got introduced in the world, right? So got the shoulder tackle to mitigate attacks, but I'm curious how that'll work. Will there be a cooldown? Because if they're making the game, this challenging in this one, I don't think you're going to be able to spam bars like that. Might be a cooldown to it, but I don't know. I mean, it's in this kit now. That little nudge used to be a skill. I think it used to be like you hit enemies with like the butt of the sword, and that will interrupt their actions. But now it's in his kit, so and I think I've seen some things with the Thief's kit that resembled Helm Splitter. I'm excited for Helm Splitter coming back, especially for dual bladed weapons, because Helm Splitter is OD, and I'm wondering if Strider will be a vocation in Dragon's Dogma, like an unlockable vocation, because they basically split Strider up into Thief and Ranger, because Strider was so strong in Dragon's Dogma 1. It was just polluted with Striders. Striders were too good. They could do everything. They close range and long range, and had the most ease of use and the most broken skills in the game, and Thousand Kisses and Brain Splitter. Once you buff up the skills, once you get the equipment to buff up skills, those two skills are just incredibly broken, and that it makes Strider so strong. Also, like Cloudburst Valley, you really didn't. It's like no point in playing any other vocation, honestly. But I don't think Warrior was that bad. I do agree it needed more. It needed more. I'll say that. But you could make it work. Basically, you just knock down the monsters. Once you get them knocked down and charge, what's that move? Arc of Deliverance, and get that meaty hit on the weak spot. I mean, you can just wipe out anything. But, I'm excited for the game's release. I hope you are too. And I hope you enjoyed this review, reaction to this video of us previewing what's to come. And I hope you enjoy what's to come later on this channel. But as always, I'd like to thank you for watching. Do the proper thing. Like, share, subscribe. Tune into the next video. And I will see you then. Peace.